Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 632 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Thomas Graham. And on this episode, we discuss positive psychology and how the brain and nervous system impacts a person's health. Stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Today I have Tom Graham on with me. And before I get into our big why of the show, I'm going to let you guys know a couple things we're going to touch on today. I believe that we can never say it enough, but chiropractic does save people from drugs and surgery. And we're going to talk about the brain and nervous system today and how we can reach more people and Dr. Tom's willingness to do more speaking gigs and getting on more podcasts. I think that was a big mission of his this year. And he's done a couple of mission trips, and I'm really curious to talk to him about that. And he's working towards a master's in positive psychology. I think these are all things that are going to be great topics today. And if we have enough time, we'll jump into where the profession is going and mentorship. And I just want to let you know our big why. Why do we do what we do here at Chiro Hustle? First things first is freedom of speech. I don't know how many times I said this, but we know what it's like to be shadow banned and traffic throttled. And we know what it's like to have people censor us on the different platforms. So we would never do that to you. We believe that's very integrous of what we do. So we also believe in people having the ability to have medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things, but if you need guidance on any of these topics, reach out to your family chiropractor, neighborhood chiropractor. They'll help you understand family health freedom and medical freedom. We protect BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. If you don't know what this is, go to our show notes and check out BJ Palmer's last words. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you previously did, I guarantee you. And this is for all the chiropractic students in schools. We do support subluxation-based chiropractic. Don't take it out of your schools. It's important. And we do believe in and support innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, is adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that, Dr. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, James. Great to be on here.
Yeah, I mean, when we lay it down like that, it's important for people to know that this is a show that stands on truth. And, you know, some people call what we do straight chiropractic. And I'm like, no, it's just real chiropractic. It's truthful chiropractic. And I think that that's an important part for people to understand the distinction. I don't lean anyway. I just want people to be great chiropractors. So with that, your chiropractic story. I know that you say you grew up in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah.
How did you get introduced to chiropractic in New Hampshire?
So interestingly enough, I'll say my initial exposure to chiropractic was actually through the sports injury realm. So getting injured, I was a wrestler, football player and stuff in high school. So that was my initial introduction to chiropractic, but not an introduction that really told me what it was. At that point in my life, it was just a treatment for back pain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, when I got into chiropractic also, Dr. Tom, I hurt my shoulder playing high school football. So I understand like the pathway that some of us get introduced to chiropractic is through sports.
Yep. So that was really my initial exposure to it, and then it wasn't till I was in college actually I decided that I wanted to pursue health somehow. So medical school was in the realm, and I was taking my biology and anatomy phys courses, and basically I got my degree in sports medicine. Essentially, I combined health science and organic chemistry as majors, basically. So the whole point was really to go on as a pre-med degree type of thing. While I was in school, there was another chiropractor actually that was in the health science department, and he kind of put it on the radar a little bit more for me, because I'd be working with athletes and things are more on the front end of side of things as far as helping people out. And then I ended up even getting the opportunity to shadow some chiropractors just because it was interesting, health related and everything. So it became a potential in the wheelhouse, whether I was going med school, chiropractic school, towards the end of my schooling career. And really, my mom passed away senior year of college. So I took a little bit of time off after that, finished my school and everything, but I was actually working construction like full time. So just making the money because money was good in it, and the thing that kind of finally made up my mind which direction I was going to go was actually watching a drug commercial. And watching this drug commercial, I forget exactly what it was, but there's the guy dancing or walking and dancing through a field with a stuffed teddy bear or whatever, and then in the background it's like, oh, this drug could cause leaking out of your eyes and gastric bloating and blah 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 blah. It was like 2 minutes of this under, how they do that underneath the dancing bears and stuff on the screen. And in my head I'm like, who would do this?
You'd almost think that it's satire,
right?
You'd almost think that it's just rhetoric for humor, but it's a serious thing.
Yeah, and it was that moment that it was kind of like clicked in me, where I'm like, I want to be on the front side of things and help people before they get there. And that was actually really the thing that clicked and made me just say, all right, I'm going to pursue chiropractic more than anything.
So fast forward us a little bit. How long have you been out of school?
So I have been out of school 6 years now. I graduated in 2017.
So 6 years of real world experience.
Yeah.
What have you done in the past 6 years? I know you have at least one office, right?
Yep. So I have two offices, and then technically I donate my time to an organization that actually rescues trafficked people. So
oh wow,
yeah. So I donate my time there twice a week for a couple hours also. So I technically have a satellite in their office too. But yeah, basically Woodstock and Roswell, Georgia are my major offices. Initially, I was independent contracting. I was working at the joint part of the time, and then doing house calls and covering practices, things like that. And then 2020 hit, and they started a mask mandate. And I've read the research. That's all I can say. And if you think this is doing anything for you for an invisible virus, you obviously don't understand science. So I'm not the type of person to play dumb and do something that has no purpose. If not anything, like it's probably harming me than not. So I respectfully put in my 2 weeks and started my practice in Woodstock with another doc. So we were under one roof in Woodstock. And then last year, I actually ended up buying another practice from a couple friends of mine.
So let me ask you this. With that experience of going through and working with, a subcontract with the joint, and then going out and now having your own thing going and giving back also is really cool. But as you've gone through that, how long did it take you to actually feel like it took to develop yourself into a full functional chiropractor?
I will say the chiropractic part, I feel like sank in early, even before I ran a business, as far as like the comfortability with being a doctor. Mind you, if you're a good doctor, you always have to stay open to learning, because there's more, there's more stuff that keeps coming your way, and the universe is going to send you what you're prepared for. The business side of things, definitely, I'll say I'm still in the perfecting stage, but if it'll ever be perfected, quote unquote, right? So that was a bit more of a rude awakening, but keeping the head afloat and everything like that, at least, but having to wear all the hats, being the billing guy, the scheduling guy, the marketing guy, you know what I mean? That was a slice of humble pie for sure.
Well, I just love that we're so like, free to discuss these things, because there's a lot of people out there that don't understand what it takes to be a functioning chiropractor, and and willing to say, look, I don't have it all figured out, but we're doing this and I'm going, and it's working. Because some people are so afraid that if they don't have it all like lined up the way that they think in their vision and their like mind map, then it's not going to be what, it's not going to work. And I still joke around with my buddy who has like 20 offices in Europe, and I'm like, yeah, you're still stitching together the parachute, aren't you? Because he just jumped and he doesn't have it all figured out, and he's got so many people doing work and being on his team, and everybody needs attention to a certain degree, everybody needs guidance to a certain degree, but somehow one person can have the capacity to grow 20 offices. And just listening to you is like, look, I know what it's like to be the biller. I know what it's like to be the scheduler. I know what it's like to be the adjuster. So I think it's humble. And I think, back to the opener, do you believe that some of your doctor skills and your adjusting skills and your table side manner got like where it is, or where you like felt like you were a doctor, was because of the mission trips you went on?
Oh, 100%. That was so not that some people would agree with this, and but I actually did my first mission trip after first quarter. I went down to Haiti and Dominican Republic with Peter Morgan, and it was so big picture. It's really hard to really hurt someone with chiropractic. I know that without a shadow of a doubt. All of the insurance numbers will back that up too. That's why chiropractors only pay $1,000 a year, less than $100 a month for malpractice insurance, because we are safer than Advil and Tylenol. We're not really hurting people. It's hard to hurt people as long as you're not being a dum-dum and, I'm going to make this thing move, and like basically, impacting and concussing the person, So I also had, even during first quarter, mind you, I was training with upper quarter students, so I didn't just go in there completely blind or anything. I was actually training under clubs and with upper quarter students and everything. And then when we're in the mission trip, we have doctor supervision as well. So I feel completely congruent in my decision to do that. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, and I just think it's important to discuss, like, how do people become great at delivering chiropractic care early on in their careers. And I do think that mission trips are vital to confidence. I think they're vital to biomechanics. I think they're vital to understanding how to deliver chiropractic services. And I don't think there's anything greater. I mean, how many people, I don't know the curriculum, but how many people do you actually have to have through student clinic in order to call yourself a doctor?
So when I went through, and I know it changed slightly in COVID or whatever, when I went through, though, it was 250 adjustments total. So that's adjusting initially people in student clinic, so adjusting other students first, and then and then you go into outpatient clinic, and then you do peak, right? But yeah, 250 adjustments total, and I'm sure I saw that in just my first mission trip. You know, like
that's interesting that you were able to see that many people that fast. And we give competency to 250 adjustments, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I think that there's a lot to determine, like, what makes a good chiropractor, because I hear a lot of my colleagues say, hey, when a chiropractor comes out of school, I have to like teach them philosophy, and I have to like teach them adjusting skills, and they're not really ready to practice. And I'm like, well, what were they doing?
Mm-hmm.
Like what are we doing over that course of, training this person to be a chiropractor, if they come out and you have to teach them philosophy and adjusting skills? And some people are like, well, it's not the job of the university to do that. And I'm like, well, what is their job then? And it's very confusing, because there is a lot to see, what's important and how we can make it better.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to the people will be like, oh, it's not the job, the school's job to do that. Be like, I think it is the school's job to set people up for success. That's my personal thing. The hard part is teach a business course that will encompass all scopes of practice. So there's obviously basics to business. If you're spending more than you're making, you need to fix that at some point. That's one principle of business, or you're not going to be in business, right? but really, you can, because of the scope of work of chiropractic in general, you can be doing a pain management clinic with injections and integrated health type of model, or you can be doing energy work and basically chiropractic Reiki and everything in between. And when you're in a pain management clinic, things aren't done the same way as in a Reiki type, like network type of practice. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I've shadowed both types of offices, just to have the know-how and to see how it's done. But yeah, that's part of the problem, or part of the challenge on the school side of things, I would say. But the philosophy, again, this is kind of my personal opinion, but the philosophy, at least at Life, we get more philosophy than most other schools, but they're taught in the very beginning, like quarters 1 and quarters 3, I think. So in the very, very beginning of the program, before you even have a idea what, like, even as obviously if you're getting in there from a chiropractic family, you have an idea what chiropractic is. But me, being a sports junkie, no chiropractors in the family, and deciding to pursue chiropractic as my next career, is I didn't have a good framework of what chiropractic was. Me going to Life Leadership Weekend was what really sold me on it. Being like, oh, natural living is great, going to be better than lots of drugs and stuff, getting to help people on the front end of things. So I liked all the basics that they kind of toss in with chiropractic. You get to help people in a little bit different of a way, but I didn't know what chiropractic was. It took me at least 2-3 years in chiropractic school to really start getting that basis, and having the philosophy in the beginning of the program, where it's just kind of like, oh, just got to pass this class, and not actually really embrace it. That was a big difference. And I ended up taking like the advanced philosophy course with Dr. Koch or whatever, which was one of the best courses I took at the university. And then also I'm part of the professional chiropractic fraternity, Delta Sigma Chi. So I learned a lot about the philosophy and history and stuff through that. And that's honestly, in my opinion, is what gives me the certainty to do what I do. Because if you really study chiropractic, you understand it's a deductive process. It's a deductive place we get to our certainty and everything, versus medicine and everything like that's more inductive, right?
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Excite Medical and the DRX 9000, Chiro HD, Softwave, Bridge Financial, 100% Chiropractic, Chiro Health USA, Imaging Services, Chiro Moguls, The Chiro Speaking Company, New Patients in a Box, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Life Chiropractic College West, Pro Hockey Chiros, Pro Baseball Chiros, and the IFCO. You can benefit from our full list of sponsors by visiting our sponsor page at chirohustle.com/sponsors. Links in the description. Now, let's hustle. Yeah, and as I listen to you talk about learning this profession, I hear so many times chiropractors will beat their chest and say, chiropractic chose me. And really, the profession is something that's really important to the chiropractor to know why they're doing what they're doing, because the people that they're doing it for need somebody that's going to steer them in a positive direction. And they're coming to you because they don't know where to go or who to trust. And I think that a lot of times when you get philosophical and like really up here with your thought processes, it is important to know why you're doing what you're doing philosophically, and how to apply that. So I think it is cool for people to actually learn why they do what they do and who created this profession before you became this doctor that came to this college that's never been adjusted to your entire life possibly, and now you're saying I'm going to become this. And if we don't teach them the right way, they become medical practitioners.
Yeah.
And they don't become chiropractors because they don't understand the philosophy, and they let the insurance codes rule their practice type. Yep. And I think that it's each their own. I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but if we don't teach chiropractors about the brain and nervous system and about philosophy, they don't know why they're doing it, and they practice something that's not chiropractic.
Yeah, it just gets lumped into the, and again, it is what it is, but it gets lumped all into the treatment model, which is the Western medicine model. Mm-hmm. So, and that's unfortunately what happened to the DOs, doctors of osteopathy, lost their philosophy and basically got swept in with the medical doctors. And now therapists is the same. I mean, physical therapists were something separate also, but now they have courses in manipulation for physical therapists, but it's not the same. It's not.
Well, I think that it's important to have distinctions with everything that different professions do. And I think it's very, transparent for somebody to say chiropractors adjust, they don't manipulate. Mm-hmm. And if a physical therapist wants to say, hey, we do manipulations, like that's their profession. That's appropriate. Yep. And that's up to them. But I don't know anybody that I've ever met that says, I can't wait to go get a manipulation. Like I can't wait to get manipulated. Like it's just the wording of the way that it sounds just goes against like so many laws of what you want. Like words matter.
Yep. 100%.
And I think that if somebody wants to practice that type of care, then they should call themselves physical therapists.
Yep.
And that's fine too. Yep. But they shouldn't perpetuate that they're a chiropractor when they're not doing chiropractic. And, philosophically, I think that it takes a lot to be, a real deal chiropractor. So it's easier to practice in a style that takes less. It takes a lot to be a real philosophically sound chiropractor and know how to adjust. It is. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, like, not that, again, it's not my job to tell anyone else how to help people, but in my offices, I only adjust. Like, that's it. I have a very, very minimalistic type of office, and it's specifically because I don't want to obfuscate or I don't want to mix the messages up with anything else. This is what I do in my office. I don't do nutrition. I don't do physical therapy, e-stims, massage, nothing else. Because, and the biggest reason why is because that people have a hard enough time trying to figure out what chiropractic is in the first place. I just don't want to mix the messages. Mind you, I love natural health, and eventually I want to own a natural health like strip mall where, you know, you have the natural dentist and natural physical therapist and organic food store, blah, 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 because all of that's awesome too. But it's not chiropractic, and it is, there's so many times where we're mixing the messages and people don't know that, again, coming back to that one message, that one getting everyone on the same page. When we're having schools that aren't teaching philosophy, well, it's not chiropractic then. You are now just lumping it into the medical treatment model again, right?
Well, I've always told people this, Dr. Thomas, chiropractic is a standalone profession. It's a healing art. It's not in the healthcare like arena. It is chiropractic. Chiropractic is chiropractic is chiropractic. It's not healthcare.
Yep.
They've ruined healthcare. And if we allow them too much longer, they're trying to ruin chiropractic. So we have to be a standalone profession. Like in the medical arena, like everything, all the chips are gone. Like all of the plays on the chessboard are gone. The last thing remain is chiropractic.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important for us to keep the integrity of this profession long term and not sell it out, because the rest of the medical world is struggling. And I'm not saying that emergency medical is not important. I'd never say that. And I'm not saying that I would ever want somebody to go needlessly suffering without taking care of their health concerns. But when it comes to the profession of chiropractic, it is a standalone profession. There's nothing else like it, and it shouldn't be lumped in with other types of ideologies in the medical or medicine world.
Yep. And I agree. It's you know, something that is just better for people to be part of. It's like I make the analogy. It's like going to the gym, but for your brain and nervous system, right?
Yeah. And if people, I say this a lot, and I mean, it probably is oversaid by me when I'm at conferences, but if people know what we know, they do what we do.
Yep.
And that's why it's important to create these stories and these messages and to perpetuate greatness within this profession and support chiropractors and invite people in. I think it's really important to invite people in. And that's really why chiropractors are successful, is because they invite people in. And most of the people in that medical world said, hey, we're going to do this to you or else. And people are like, no. I don't want you to do that to me. I need to go find somebody else that can help me. And that's really like what's happening right now in the medical arena is the medical professionals are saying, hey, you have to go do this or else. And they're like, well, who else might be able to help me? Then they start playing Google fingers and they're like, oh, a chiropractor might be able to help me. And then they come in and they tell you, hey man, I've tried everything. Now I'm finally here. And that's typically how people transition into lifetime patients of chiropractic, is because they're like, wow, I tried everything. Nothing actually helped me. And now I'm seeing you guys. Wow. What a relief. Why didn't anybody tell me this earlier?
Yeah. And it's like, my health is getting better. Doesn't happen overnight, but that's the importance of, you know, getting people on lifelong, week after week, get your butt back in here when you're feeling symptomatic and sick and everything like that. Get in here more, because it's the way the brain processes things. So promise you'll be on top.
I love this conversation so much. Going to the chiropractor is like going to the gym for your brain and nervous system.
Yeah.
Like, if people like saw that as a slogan, they'd be like, dang, I need that really bad, because I'm not thinking right. And I don't know if my nervous system's actually working.
I'm like, so stressed out, I can't digest my food. Right.
Or I'm isolated, I'm sad, I'm angry. people call this depression, whatever it might be, or their anxiety is like something real. And I think that if people just knew if they got chiropractic, it could help regulate their nervous system, they wouldn't be so dysfunctional with their thoughts and feelings.
Yep.
But that's a cool thing that there's a lot of technology within the field too, that you can actually check their vagal tone. You can check their heart rate variability. You can check their temperature of their spine. You can do a surface EMG. Like, there's so much tech involved with chiropractic now that we can actually like analyze people and understand what's going on with their neurology a lot better.
Yeah. And that's really what it's all about is, and again, one of those key things that makes a chiropractor is I'm adjusting them and then seeing some change in the neurology, hopefully balance. Mind you, sometimes it gets better before it gets worse. So, you adjust someone and you watch them get a fever. That's a good thing. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. And, after doing it for a little while, you start to get a sense of who might get worse before they get better. But I try to warn people. I mean, like, first thing is let's just get month one under wraps. Try it for a month, see how it is, see how you're feeling. Then let's do a reassessment. And that conversation is, but just so you know, it might get worse before it gets better. So if life sucks more, awesome. That means it's working, right?
Well, that's a part too, where people have to be honest with themselves and to know that they're not coming in perfect.
Yep.
And if somebody was perfect, no symptoms, no concerns, yeah, the adjustment would be great. And you would just get an adjustment like whenever, the doctor recommended you to. But a lot of these people come in at a crisis state and they think that 1 to 2 chiropractic adjustments going to sort them out and they're never going to have to come back again. And I think that that's really where we have to get people to, is to understand that like it's something that you should utilize long term, and it's not there to just fix you and patch you up.
Yep. It's the and I only know this from experience at this point, but it is going even when you're feeling great. That's going to really make the next change, the next step in that health journey for you, because that's otherwise you're doing an up and down sort of thing. But I want to be, get me on that upward trajectory, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's. I know there's a couple more things I want to touch on with you today before we finish today's episode. Two items specifically, mentorship, and then I want to talk to you about where you see this profession going in the next 20 years. But first of all, who helped guide you to where you are today to become the doctor that you are today? Anybody that you want to recognize?
So mentorship, again, is huge in my wheelhouse of learning. I say who you listen to is rule number one. And anyone I talk to, like students especially, I always tell them, whether you're starting on your own or associating, whatever, getting out of school, I'm like, get mentors, get people that you could see yourself emulating or replicating, because it's not my job to tell you how to practice chiropractic again, but find someone who resonates with you and start following them, because getting from A to Z is a lot quicker with someone that's on the path already. So my major mentor would be Dr. Suki Muker. He practices in West Vancouver. He's been my mentor since actually it was on that mission trip that I had originally met him in Haiti and Dominican Republic. And then he came to school a bunch and stuff like that. So he would definitely be one of the top people I would say I would recognize. Other mentors, I mean, there's so many good teachers and stuff like that, even at the school and everything like that. But I'll say just being in the network worlds, people like either Donnie Epstein, Sue Brown, Arnaud Bernier, all of them worked together in the past under network.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle.
Doing network spinal.
Don't forget to subscribe and check back
BGI,
next week
and then
to continue
MLS
hustling.
with Arnaud Bernier. But it's all coming from the same substance, chiropractically, I'll say, all looking at the body in a very similar way, more energetic than material. So I view the body through that lens, the energetic lens. I don't do x-rays, things like that in my office unless I'll refer them out if I feel like it's necessary. But yeah, that's just the way I practice a lot more tonally at this point.
Yeah, and I think that's important for people to understand too, is that a practitioner develops into an artist. And if the world knew that chiropractors were artists, they'd all be curious to go try a different chiropractic. They'd all be curious to say, huh, that guy's not wrong for thinking that way. He's right. And I maybe that's the person that I need to be under their guidance and care. And I think that that's the real honest approach to this profession. Instead of saying that all chiropractors are the same, which the public perception is thinking, instead of saying, hey, chiropractors are artists. Go find somebody that you like to take care of you. And if you don't like that and it doesn't resonate with you, go find another one. Like you said early on, you went and studied and shadowed different practices. So you knew more of the flow of what you were looking to do as a practitioner. And I think that that's really, really honest for people to take in and to understand that like the chiropractic profession is something that every chiropractor does a little bit different, and it's an artistic profession.
Yeah. And it's all about the art and what resonates with you, what makes sense. Because there's over 350 different techniques in this profession. So some of them are using muscle testing, some of them are using thermos, some of them are using x-rays. There's no right or wrong answer. You know what I mean? It's all just data. It's all just a lens into how we're making someone's system better neurologically.
So let's close out. Where do you see chiropractic in the next 20 years?
That's a hard question to answer. But I would say the trajectory is going in the right direction because people are becoming less institutionalized in the hospital pharma realm. Our country spends more than double any other country on healthcare, and we're ranked among last for all industrialized nations. So we spend way more money and we get worse results. So I'm not Einstein or anything, but that would be my definition of a system that's broken and not working. So what we're doing isn't working, right? So now what? And who's going to be taking the reins? I don't hear a whole lot about naturopaths at this point, unfortunately, even though I believe in it, homeopaths, things like that. And I think there are people that we're all going to link arms with. But yeah, I think a natural health revolution is underway. This decade is going to be kind of pinnacle and people kind of waking up and actually taking their health back, take their power back. So in 20 years, I'd say it's going to be, there's a good chance that things are going to get integrated, just knowing the way business works. So, but it'll be better. People will be a lot more awake and not just depending on drug surgery,
Well, Dr. Tom, I appreciate you being on with me today. And I think that integration is upon us, but we still have to remain distinct and unique with the chiropractic profession. And it's important to work with other practitioners and not to shame or guilt them for being different. But it's important for everybody to understand what chiropractic is and what it does and how chiropractors serve humanity. Your episode 632 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. And if people want to reach out to you and book you for a speaking gig or get on their show, it's www.bookdrtom.com. And anybody that wants to reach out to Dr. Tom, this guy is awesome. I think that a lot of people will learn more about chiropractic through your lens. And I wish you the most success out there in Roswell and Woodstock. And let's see what's next for you. And thanks for giving back to your community by taking care of those that have been human trafficked.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's a huge problem and a passion. So I'm honored and blessed to do it, and honored and blessed to be here today as well, James. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun today. I appreciate you being episode 632, and I'll close out like I always do and tell you, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.